24 Hour Company is a design firm offering a suite of creative services including solutioning and concept and graphic design, marketing support, web design, and training. And all of what we offer is very important because now more than ever we're living in an at-a-glance society. People want their information as succinctly and clearly as possible. Think about this, looking at these two slides, two companies. Which company is more innovative? I'm guessing you had a knee-jerk reaction, and so will our audience when we present our content in our bids and our proposals, in our marketing materials and sales documents, in our presentations. The quality of our content is indicative, or I should say the quality of our aesthetics is indicative of the quality of the content. If I make subtle tiny changes to this graphic, notice how the perceived professionalism goes up. And it pulls up the perceived professionalism of our content. So if we show stuff that look like this and we say we're the best of the best, it does not support that. We better feel like it, sound like it, taste like it. And how we show things is important. There's different aesthetic styles. There's skeuomorphism, there's flat design, there's material design. Understanding those different styles plays a big role in how our solution, how we are perceived, our content is perceived. Never, never, never show things the way other people do it. And think about it from the perspective of the evaluator. Which one would you rather look like if you're looking at pages and pages of content from multiple solution providers? Once we create those graphics, they have to also be consistent internally. We're going to make sure that our solution doesn't look like it was Frankenstein together. And all of our content must be message driven. We need to have clear, compelling points that each one of our graphics make. Think of each one of these as a little infographic within our document, in our marketing materials, in our presentations. We have all kinds of really cool tools that we share with our customers. For example, this one's a graphic cheat sheet. What it does is it makes sure you have the right graphic. You don't waste your time creating a graphic that doesn't work. Another graphic that doesn't work, and then finally get it right. So using this graphic cheat sheet allows you to get the right graphic before you waste your time on something that's not going to work. For example, let's say we're presenting a process. There's lots of ways you could show the process. You have to decide up front. It's in our best interest to decide up front which route we go. So let's say the request order comes in and the part is repaired. Is the part needed? If it's needed, then we send it to the customer within 24 hours. If no, then it goes to the warehouse. But that's the same thing as saying this. The part comes in, we repair it, it's shipped out. Is the part needed? If yes, then it goes to the customer. If no, then it goes to the warehouse. Both of those say the same thing, but which do you choose? So the best practices that we share help you choose the right path forward for your target audience. We make sure that we don't have slides that look like this. This is bad. Don't do something like this. Instead, say something like, hey, we know why you're here. You want to save money, you want to make things easier, and you want to make things faster. And we have 8 ways to make that happen. Way number 1 is our solution is free to hotels. That's going to save you money. Number 2, it's got a user-friendly intuitive interface, which makes things easier and faster, and so forth and so on. So we're connecting the dots. We're making it easy. We're making our information accessible at a glance. And then we continue that throughout the entire presentation. If this was an oral proposal, let's say, hey, let me tell you about free to hotels. How can we ensure it's going to be free in the future? Well, we have a grant, and that grant's going to last for the next 10 years. We have a work to learn, not to earn curriculum, and we have loyalty programs. That's how we ensure it's free. How do we make sure it's got a user-friendly intuitive interface? Well, let's show you our UI for our software. These are the ways we make things easier, and these features make it faster. The same is true for our portable devices as well. If you look at our features, they're there on your iPad, on your Samsung Galaxy. So we use that best practice that I just shared throughout the presentation. The same is true for written documents. We want to connect the dots, make sure we're telling a story that leads to a benefit for the customer. When we work with people on bids, proposals, marketing documents, sales documents, web designs, we meet with the authors. We meet with the really smart people, the SMEs, the subject matter expert, the geeks, the nerds, and we love it. Because if we can understand, then we can communicate the information. You could have the smartest person on the planet Earth, but if the target audience doesn't understand what they're saying, then they might as well not be smart at all. It's really, really important. It's kind of like, imagine not speaking Spanish and being a PhD with an IQ of 160, and you go to a place that speaks Spanish. It's not going to help you. So learning how to translate that information is really, really important. And that's what we do. And then once we sketch it out, we get buy-in, then we render it. Once we render it, we have edits. Of course we're going to have edits. Then we put that into the documentation, be it a bid, a proposal, a marketing document, a website. It doesn't matter. That's how it works. If we're doing an oral presentation, we sketch it out. It's all about fast. We're an agile company. We're living in an agile world. We're an at-a-glance society. We need things fast. We need things yesterday. And we need them perfect, and we need them professionally. Once we get buy-in, then we start mocking up the key slides, and then we render the slides themselves. We don't do it before everybody's on the same page. I've got a question for you. Watch this, pay close attention, and I'll ask the question. Pay very close attention to this. What did you remember most? I bet you said the lion. Our content needs to stand out from our competitors. Do you know the best way to do that? If we're living in an at-a-glance society, it's going to be the aesthetic and our messaging and our content married together. Graphics aren't better than words. Words aren't better than text. Words aren't better than graphics. You put them together, you have a marriage made in heaven. We help people create infographics that communicate very complex things in a way that's easy to follow. We create those infographics in a style that is going to resonate with our target audience. There's different audiences, different demographics. Each one of those demographics like different types of graphics. Some like 3D, some like 2D, some like material design, some like flat design, some like spiral graphics, some like dashboard graphics, some like foldouts, some don't like foldouts. You can use graphics effectively to always contextualize your content. So I can use it to help the audience follow along with what I'm saying, and they never lose track of where I am relative to the big picture. This plays a major role today when people are resource starved and they want their information quickly. Some of the other cool things you can do in PowerPoint, if you're giving an oral presentation, you can do something like parallax, where you have the background move at a different pace than the foreground. It gives that illusion of three-dimensionality. The whole purpose of this is to demonstrate our professionalism and show that we're not like everybody else. That we've spent more time thinking about not only how we're going to present our content, but more importantly, the content itself. If we spent this much time on how we presented it and how we're showing it, isn't that indicative of how much time we must have spent creating the solution that we're sharing? That's what happens when people look at our stuff. Intuitively, they figure it out. Looking at these slides, if you notice, this is not your typical content. We're showing things in a way that people aren't used to. And doing that is going to separate us from our competitors. Perhaps you want to use a newspaper as a metaphor to walk people through our story. It's a clever, unique way to do it. There's so many different options out there. Whenever we're doing something, it's a great idea to give them the big picture first, then quote unquote zoom in. If it's a written document, you can't animate it, but you can certainly show it based on the context of the big picture. And most people struggle with that, creating information that's crystal clear and unique, because they spend a lot of the time focusing on creating the technical solution. And that's important. That's critically important. Now, what happens if you can't communicate that in a way that your audience cares about and is engaging? Then we're going to lose. And it makes me sad when people lose because they don't, the best solution provider can still lose because they didn't find a more efficient way or effective way to communicate that information. What I'm going to do is give you a little sample of some of our training. So let's say we're creating a graphic. Think of a graphic as a conversation between two people. Person number one is the author. They're the person that makes the graphic, comes up with it. The audience is the person that digests the graphic, learns from it. The authors should always be thinking, why am I making this? Why would anybody care about this? And the author, or I should say the audience, is thinking, well, why should I care? I got a busy life. You're going to show me something. Why should I give a rat's patootie about it? If we put those two things together, we have the makings of a successful at-a-glance graphic. The way we do it is two phases, concepting and rendering. In each one of those phases, we have 3 steps, and I remember it as gas cap. Gas cap, think of it as filling up your brain with information. Basically, we're making wiser people by listening to the information we're sharing if we follow this process. The first step in the process is to know our goal. What do I mean by goal? What I mean is the goal is the thing that happens after someone has absorbed our graphic. Whatever we're showing them, our presentation, our proposal, it's what happens after. For example, if I'm doing an e-learning graphic, perhaps I want people to learn the list of the planets. How do you remember the order of the planets? Or enter data faster, more accurately, or ID code errors more quickly, or spell more better. You like that one, right? Eat better, exercise without injury, or avoid being sick. Nowadays, that's critically important too. Lots of things are important, and to fall down just because we missed one thing, it's really sad. So close to the finish line, and we fall down. After we figure out our goal, we have to announce it. What do I mean by announce it? I mean that we create a summary of what we're trying to communicate. People struggle with this, to summarize what they're saying at a very high level so that everybody in their audience gets it. It's not that easy. But there's a trick. And that trick I call the M&M. What I mean by M&M is I mean the motivator and the means. I have to figure out what's going to motivate my audience. For example, make your job easier. I totally want to make my job easier. How am I going to do that? By using this new tool. Cool beans! We can imply the motivator, and there's a lot of secrets to creating a motivator that we're not going to get into now because, well, this isn't a workshop. I'm just showing you some of the cool stuff that you can do, some of the ways in which we do training to contextualize your information, to make it engaging, and to show things that you don't typically see. The next thing is spell it out. What do I mean by spell it out? What I mean provide proof, evidence that you can deliver on your promise. So if we said make your job easier by using this tool, that's our motivator, making the job easier, and our means is using this new tool, the audience is going to have questions. Remember, it's a conversation. What is the new tool, and how will it make my job easier? Well, we have to answer that clearly and succinctly by using the new tool. The new tool is this widget that appears up here in your user interface. Cool. Well, how does it make my job easier? Well, it automatically creates your reports when you do this. So that's spelling it out. Once we're finished with phase 1 concepting, we move on to rendering. The first thing we do is we chunk the information. We break it up. So we have the information, our goal, our announcement, and we've spelled it out. So now I'm going to take a highlighter and I'm just going to start highlighting the most important things to our target audience. What matters most to them? That's what I care about. So that's chunking, breaking it up into bite-sized digestible pieces. The next thing that I do is now it's time to assemble that information to tell a story. Facts tell and stories sell. We want people to buy into what we're saying. So we take that chunked information and we get rid of everything else that isn't important. And then we pull it away, and then we reassemble it to tell a story, to provide a narrative. That's assemble. And lastly, the last step in the process is to picture it. And there's 3 ways you can turn that text into a powerful graphic. But again, this isn't a full workshop. You get the idea. We're giving you, or I'm sharing with you, different ways to show information, showing our abilities as a training firm, as a design firm. Please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to 24 Hour Company. We are happy to help you with all of your creative services needs. Just go to www.24hourcompany.com and we're happy to give you a hand, or at the very least point you in the right direction. Please enjoy the rest of this event. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and by all means, be safe. Bye-bye.